Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance live show number 32. Woo-hoo! 32 of these we've done. And this is your host, Ramon Azab, a.k.a. Remon, with the Alliance, and I'm joined by good old Maurice, my co-host. How's it going, Maurice?
Good. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, lots of stuff to cover. We didn't have a show last week because of the holidays, and I was going to do it, but I decided to hold off for the week, because I figured, Maurice was kind of busy. I was a little busy. We decided to just push it off 1 week, and, here we have 2 weeks worth of news to cover. So, as you can see by the title and what's on your screen right now, I was able to get my Hermit Yoda to 7 stars, so I'm super excited about that. There aren't that many of those out there. Fortunately, he's got a lot of he's got that Zeta on him, and now I can use him in various different game modes, and obviously in TW, and I'll be able to use him now in the last phase of light side territory battle. So I'm excited about that. But Maurice, we had some new things that occurred: dark side territory battles and territory wars. How did the Alliance Zai fare in dark side territory battles?
Well, apart from the platoons, I think we did really well. The platoons made P5 and P6 extremely difficult. There's a couple platoons we couldn't even get the first level of bonus because every platoon had like a spirit or an unmasked Kylo, like the characters we didn't have. So it's a long-term climb, a long way to go. But I think we responded real well for having no notice really whatsoever. It was good, man. I was proud to be a part of it. It was fun.
Absolutely. It was a really exciting first territory battles for the dark side. Definitely made me realize that I have a lot of work to do on my dark side roster. But the thing is that I don't think any of us were really prepared for how much the requirements were going to be, and it's been a little bit overwhelming, especially with the addition of territory wars now, because I realize that I have a lot of work to do to prepare for that as well. So now, how did you guys do with your first territory wars? We ended up facing Team Instinct in our first territory wars, the Top Guild, and we didn't. We came up a little short. They were very well prepared. They had whole sections just filled with Night Sister lineups, and they had Zeta Thrawn leads in a different section. They had a very good strategy going into it, and now that we're a little bit more prepared, I think we'll fare better the next time we face them. But hats off to them; they definitely performed very well, and they were able to defeat all of our defensive squads. We went more with an offensive mentality, but some of those squads, especially the Night Sister squads, can be very deceptive. You go into battle thinking that they're almost depleted, you can take them out, and then with the reviving and the turn meter manipulation. It's definitely a team that can turn the tide real quickly, can, just kind of take out a team with full protection and health because they continue to revive and gain health back. So, did you see any interesting comps out there? Any interesting, squads that you think you might want to work on for, territory wars?
Some interesting ideas. It's we faced Death Corps, was the name of the guild. That they had some just interesting ideas. Like a lot of the people are putting their like CLS and Barris and like all the same team. And they kind of split their meta characters up and form multiple teams, which are easier to beat. But you have to use some of your meta characters yourself to beat them. So it's an interesting strategy. I'm gonna draw, as a lot of the guilds did. Overall, it was a fun experience, and the rewards are very nice for really, very little work. If throwing your defensive teams in real, to where they're supposed to go according to strategy, and then you play, 4, 5, 6 arena battles. You're talking maybe an hour or two worth of commitment.
Yeah.
For a couple Zetas, some Omegas, some of the new abilities or the new gear.
Yeah, some people are not too thrilled about it. Yeah, some people have chosen not to, participate in the second one, which I don't really understand personally, but I understand that everybody has their own reasons. We're going to actually be facing the Mighty Chlorians, so you guys are going down. Just want to let you know right now, off the bat. We're doing this. Hopefully it'll be fun. I think Mobile Gamer's in that guild, so I'm going to get a chance to square up against Mobile Gamer. Hopefully I'll find one of his teams in the territory war, and if I see it, I'll fight one of his teams and record it or something like that, and make a little video about it or something, just to poke some fun at him there. But they're a pretty strong guild too, so I think that they'll perform well. It really just depends on the strategy. Do you want to prepare for like a defensive strategy, or do you want to prepare for an offensive strategy, really? And it comes down to mods too for the defense. I mean, if you have good mods, you're going to be able to hold in some cases, and if you don't, you're not. So some guilds that have had the time or the resources to put a little bit more of an investment in their mods are going to fare a lot better in the territory wars. But what's interesting about it is you can kind of come up with some different teams that are kind of unorthodox. Some teams like you can just kind of throw together that will be able to defeat some of these meta teams, because it's kind of like you're going in to try to see if you can take down, let's say, a Night Sister squad with a kind of low budget Boba Fett squad, and to see if you can make it happen, or a scoundrel team or something like that, and see if you can make it work. And that's the fun of it, really. But I mean, we have some interesting stuff that happened over the last couple of weeks. I know that there was also an update that we didn't get to discuss, which was the update that brought in territory wars and all that stuff. But we didn't get to discuss the second anniversary gifts. So they gave us a full Zeta. Did you utilize that yet already, or is that something that's something you're saving right now?
Instantly put that on Barris.
Instantly put it on Barris.
I didn't have Barris. Funny about me, my last two Zetas were Barris and Raid and Han. So I'm finally caught up to everybody else in terms of the mandatory Zetas, if you will.
Right.
So feels good. Now I got some more fun time. I can start getting goofy.
Well,
put one on DACA. I'm about to put one on DACA.
Well, the rewards they gave you were kind of basically based on scale. So if you were like a newer player, you only got a couple 100,000 credits and you got 30 ability materials, purple ones. But otherwise, at level 60, you got 500k credits and a full stun cuff and Carbonti sensor array. Level 70, you also additionally got 15 Omega ability mats. At level 80, 20 Zeta ability mats. And that's got to be pretty cool, especially for those level 80 guys that are just getting there, that don't really have any Zetas yet. I bet you there's some guys that are just getting to level 80 that, got a nice little prize there by getting, Zeta mats. But how much does that suck if you're like a level 79? You just don't get it. But, for those that got, have made it all the way to level 85, you were given the glorious 3 Chewbacca shards, so it was cool that they did that for us too. I don't know. I mean, I know it's kind of a joke, but I feel like being that we're so close to this Ray event, I kind of wish that they gave us some veteran smuggler Chewbacca shards instead. I don't know. I just have a feeling that's the route that this is going in. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, we're probably a couple weeks away, maybe a week away from the Ray event. I don't have any specifics yet for us. I know, we're going to get some information here over the next couple of days that I'll be able to, possibly relay to you guys. But, right now I don't have any specifics. What do you think is going to happen? And, are you prepared for that event yet?
Well, I'm prepared. I'm pretty prepared for the speculation of what we'll need. You know what I mean? Now, if they come in and throw us for a loop, then you might have to ask me when it's released. But I feel pretty good about going in. The veterans are gear 8, and I'm going to try them out at that. I do have the gear saved to get them up to gear 9, just in case. Are you gonna get them 7-star? Do you have them 7-star? I've got the Chewbacca 7-star, and I'm working on Han. And I figure the event probably won't be for at least a week or two. I would think around the time of the release of the movie, right?
Yes.
And then you're going to have an additional 7 days, hopefully, to get her. Like the event will last hopefully all week. I believe the Luke event lasted all week, right? 7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what I've done is this: I've gotten Han Solo to 5 stars plus, right? And I went back and I started working on Chewbacca, so I can get them both. I want to get them both to 6 stars by the time the event drops, because I figure there'll probably be some pack, right? There'll probably be some pack where you can get maybe 40 shards or 60 shards or hopefully 80 shards for both characters for, like, let's say $100 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And when that happens, then I'll be able to just, maybe finish them up and buy a couple of, character packs and finish them up, or, just do a couple more Cantina refreshes and get them there. But that's why I'm trying to have them both at 6 star instead of trying to get one to 7 star and then finish up the other one, because then if they do end up having a pack like that, I'll lose out because I'll end up buying shards for a character that I already have 7 star and just end up putting those in the shard shop, which I really don't need right now. So
yeah, and hopefully they at least bring back the booster pack for them. Like if you didn't buy it, you can they'll release it, kind of like they did like all these packs we have open now. Like I think the Critic pack's in there for me because I never bought that, and the Imperial Super Commando, excuse me, his $9.99 pack is in there. I didn't buy that the first time it came out, so it's available again.
Right.
So you might be able to pick up 20, 40 shards, however that works, whatever the packs were.
Exactly. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it, and I mean, honestly, it's cool. I like that. Obviously, Jedi Ray's coming into the game, but I just feel like it's it is kind of a going to be short notice to get all this stuff done, and if she is a meta breaking character, which we don't know yet. I mean, she could still just be average, or or just kind of. I mean, she could be, good. Like, let's say, for example, like Ahsoka, Ahsoka Fulcrum. I mean, she's a good character. You can use her in a lot of different areas of the game, and she's a lot of fun. But again, she's not, she's not Commander Luke Skywalker. So you don't necessarily have to have her. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that works. Wow, I tried to auto this arena battle and I got blown out here. But yeah, you do not want to auto with Hermit Yoda. that's TBN to use. But yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. So we'll see if she's really good. Then yeah, I mean it'll be a tough situation. I'm just hoping she gets the Jedi tag so I can kind of roll her out with my Hermit Yoda and just play around a little bit. But they also changed around the stores a little bit, so that's something really I want to talk about now. So in the shipments, you have the addition of blueprints, more character shards. They've added a little bit more of a diverse choice of gear you can get here. Of course, you still have the traditional gear with credits that you can purchase here at the bottom as well, which I do every time. I remember to do it. Now, they also changed the guild shop, making this a lot more, obviously adequately priced and a lot more of a resource that we can utilize now because, we're going to get currency for this from the territory wars, and I think it's going to help out a lot. Also, this is where we're going to be able to get characters like Colonel Stark now for Darkside territory battles, but they added a lot more gear in the shop and also made it more adequately priced. I've been actually farming some of my gear out of this shop now directly because it's been good. And also, I don't know if they did this with the same thing, but they obviously made adjustments to the shard shop as well. But that was done a few weeks prior, I believe, right? So, but interesting. I mean, have you been utilizing the guild shop now that they made the changes?
I have, and it's funny. I've been using it on actual characters because I got super lucky. I had never finished IG 100, Kit Fisto, Sith Assassin, Starks is in there. So I mean, they're instantly I have access to 3 more characters that I don't have to Cantina farm, so I could give me more time to farm mods. So I'm enjoying that part of it, just to get them done to 7-star.
Okay.
Not good characters. I mean, Sith Assassin is good, but that's such a long Cantina farm.
It is.
Putting it off, so it's nice.
Now, yeah, no, I think it's great. Obviously, we need more resource or more places to farm gear, and some of this gear is really hard to get. Especially still some of that raid gear that you can't really farm anywhere. Like for example, these MK6 furnaces. You can get the MK5 furnaces, MK6 thermal detonator salvage. These right here, you can only get these from raids. You know what I mean? So, you have to be able to buy them somewhere. And, you can actually buy these here in the guild store as well. So you can buy the MK thermal detonator salvage here. You don't necessarily need to use your crystals, as a resource to get there. And you can get these MK6, fusion furnace pieces as well. And, those are also hard to get. You can't really get those. There's no place to farm them other than these shops. So that's interesting. But overall, I like all the changes. They made some adjustments to the, obviously the pricing there. So a lot more bang for your buck. Before that, you were spending, like 800 currency for 2 pieces or something like that. It was really horrible pricing. So this is fantastic. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the meta report here in a moment. And then we're going to go ahead and do our top 10 for the week. Sorry, top 5. We're actually going to be doing a top 5 this week. It'll be top 5 dark side territory battles, Zetas, courtesy of good old Maurice. We'll cover that here shortly.
Yeah, top 10 would be stretching it a little bit. So.
Top 5 is good enough. Yeah. So let's get into the meta report. Okay, there are some changes to talk about. So, not really much change in the leader department. There's Grand Admiral Thrawn has seemed to well, he's still got a piece, but he seemed to slip a little bit. Commander Luke Skywalker is just growing and growing. General Kenobi seems to be still holding a similar piece of the pie that he was before. But the real changes come on the top 10 squad members, which we'll get to in a moment. But Admiral Akbar still seeing an increase in use. Rex is still there, right behind General Kenobi, and Mother Talzin is right behind Akbar. So also Asajj Ventress is in the top 10, and she's actually moved ahead of Wedge Antilles, Finn, and Qui-Gon Jinn there at rank 10, rounding out the top 10. I haven't seen any Qui-Gon Jinn leads in Arena in a long time, so it's interesting to see that. Unless you're in the top 200, 300. I haven't seen anything in the top 20 like that, but there's younger shards where Qui-Gon Jinn Zeta is still a viable option. But yeah, that pretty much is the same old story with the top 10 rank 1 leaders. But what's interesting is the top 10 rank 1 characters. R2-D2 for almost ever now has been the number 1 squad member at rank 1, and now it's actually General Kenobi. So R2-D2 has fallen from rank 1 in this spot all the way down to rank 3 behind Commander Luke Skywalker. I find that to be pretty interesting. So R2-D2 is now almost in line with CLS, and right in front of Grand Admiral Thrawn and Han Solo. So, what are your thoughts about that? There's less people using R2-D2, more people using General Kenobi. What do you think the reason is for that, Maurice?
They're pretty evenly split. You're looking at Kenobi, CLS, and R2 all within each other. It's just because all 3 of those go on, just about every meta composition right now, light side composition anyway. So Kenobi is more universal, I guess. He works as a leader with the Barris comps, that everybody's using.
I think that's exactly it. I think there's more people running a Zeta Barris right now, and because of that specific reason, there's more General Kenobis being used because he works perfectly as a lead for Zeta Barris. So I think that his leader will continue to increase. I don't think it's going to trump CLS, but I think it'll continue to increase. But I think that's a direct reason that R2D2's kind of moved down a couple of spots. But right behind Han Solo, we got Darth Nihilus, followed by Barriss Offee, Baze Malbus, Rex, and Chirrut rounding out the top 10. That's the first time I've really seen Baze and Chirrut have a difference, between each other. There's actually Rex right in between Baze and Chirrut. Normally they're right next to each other because they kind of go synonymous with each other. So, I mean, if you have, let's say, 310 Baze Malbuses at rank 1, you're going to have 310 Chirruts at rank 1, but Chirrut seems to be getting less use, with Baze Malbus getting more use, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, Rex is still there, and still the same faces, still the same story, but a little bit of motion, which is always interesting because the meta report seems to stay the same every single week. But moving along, I want to move into the top 10 right away. I'm sorry, the top 5 right away. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the top 5 dark side territory battles Zetas, and that's courtesy of good old Maurice and the Alliance. So good old Maurice, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you. We'll kind of go over each of the top 5 Zetas and why they're the best Zetas to be used in dark side territory battles. So go ahead.
All right, and as he said, this is just a Zeta list for the dark side territory battles. These Zetas aren't going to necessarily be good for arena or raid or any other aspect of the game. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, I think we got an honorable mention first, correct?
No, our honorable mention will be last.
Our honorable mention will be last. Okay, number 5 is going to be Darth Maul. His leadership ability is a way to make your Sith teams viable. I personally don't think the Nihilus lead in territory battles is very good because they're not critting, and those rebel pilots are healing way too quickly, and you just can't ever get through it. But Darth Maul, Sith tick in the territory battles. Lots of stealth, lots of evasion, and obviously the turn meter bonus can get him going.
Yeah, I mean, his leader ability is really essential because whenever you're talking about a leader ability as a Zeta, it doesn't just help one character. For example, let's say you're doing, I don't know, for example, a Kylo Ren Zeta. A Kylo Ren Zeta really helps Kylo Ren and makes him a viable option for any team. But a Darth Maul Zeta instantly makes, Darth Nihilus better, instantly makes Darth Sidious a viable option, also makes Savage Opress, Sith Assassin, Sith Trooper. All these characters now become viable options behind a Darth Maul Zeta. So now you instantly make 5 characters better with one Zeta instead of only making 1 character better with 1 Zeta. So Darth Maul Zeta is definitely a great addition for dark side territory battles because now, if you have a decently geared up Sith team, that Darth Maul Zeta now makes that team a meta team, and it gives you the ability to, clear, one set of waves in dark side territory battles for sure. But the next one is number 4. And
all right,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's your show.
All right, number 4. We're gonna go with Townsend's unique ability, not the leadership ability, but it gives turn meter every time an enemy goes below a certain percentage of health. And when you're using a Night Sister comp, she's got plague spread everywhere. You're going to have the plague just constantly ripping characters down, the rebels down below 50%. And the rebels, as I mentioned, they just cleanse themselves constantly and keep healing themselves. And so they'll go up and down with all the plagues, and the plague just eventually wipes them out. This is a fantastic Zeta. It's not going to be very feasible in anyone's P5, 6, 7 down the road. If somebody were to see this list, I believe she'd be on it when everyone has more access to her. So it's something to maybe plan ahead for. especially if you're planning on running Night Sisters. She's the real deal for territory battles.
Right. I mean, her Zeta ability with Plague Bearer gives her the ability to get 35% turn meter whenever any character falls below half health, and that means either an ally or an opponent. So if you defeat an opponent with a heavy attack or a hard-hitting attack, she's going to get 35% turn meter. If one of your characters gets hit hard and falls below 50% health, she's going to get a 35% turn meter. This really is great, especially with a full Night Sister squad, because they constantly lose their health, especially if you have, let's say, a Night Sister zombie that continues to get resurrected every time you defeat Night Sister zombie. She's going to keep giving a turn meter to Mother Talzin, and that's why you see a lot of teams out there running a low-geared, low-starred Night Sister zombie because they don't want her to stay alive. Night Sister zombie will continue to resurrect, and every time she does, she's giving turn meter to Mother Talzin. So that's a really interesting Zeta, really great Zeta for dark side territory battles, because again, it's going to help you survive the duration of the 4 waves. And if you have a couple of other well-geared Night Sisters and you're running, let's say, a Mother Talzin lead, or even if you're using her as a support character behind maybe an Asajj Ventress lead, her getting that turn meter is going to be a huge asset. Now, if you are running a Mother Talzin lead, we would suggest Zetaing the leader ability as well. But again, you're going to want to have a good full Night Sister squad for that. This Zeta, however, does make her even more viable in, let's say, other squads. So, for example, if you're running sort of a mixed squad with CLS, R2D2, and Mother Talzin, inserting a couple other characters, this Zeta will give you that turn meter and will help out all the time. I mean, anytime you can get a 35% turn meter boost, that's always a huge bonus. So, but that's number 4, Mother Talzin. Now, let's move on to number 3.
All right, number 3 is her partner in crime, or other knights. Actually, another knight is going to be the Asajj Ventress lead. When you put the Zeta on, it's going to grant turn meter every time your Night Sisters fall below 100% health. And the beauty about the Night Sisters is all the health steal, the health, just the constant healing of each other. So basically, every time you get hit, you're going to gain turn meter, and then you just heal yourself right back up with like Talia's basic, Daka's heal. Asajj herself has a dispel move that heals everybody. A couple of them, have 30-40% health steal. Asajj has 55% health steal. So they're constantly staying at full health, and just every time they get hit, they get more turn meter. It really stacks up, because I actually did this Zeta, and I had no problem with the P6 mission whatsoever. I mean, the Asajj Zeta lead paired with well-geared Night Sisters, side equivalent to like the Resistance. Everyone's like, oh, Finn Zeta. 100%. Down the road, this is going to be the one. They're just like, yes, Asajj Ventress Zeta, dark side territory battles, mandatory. I mean, it's that good. It really is good for the non-Empire mandatory missions.
Well, what's great about this is, I mean, just in tandem with that Mother Talzin Zeta, I mean, it's just more turn meter manipulation for the Night Sisters. And don't they affect the opponent's turn meter in some way as well?
I didn't even mention that. Yeah, the Night Sisters under Asajj lead get 30 speed. Let's not forget about that. 30 speed, 30% offense, and they gain 50, or they have a chance to remove 20% turn meter, just like Vader. It's a 50% chance.
That's kind of insane if you think about it, because they're going to be getting 50% turn meter whenever they fall below 100% health. There's going to be heals involved, so they're going to get back to 100% health and then fall below 100% health a ton of times, especially with a Night Sister zombie, like we said, that keeps dying and reviving. And then they get 30 speed, 30 offense, and a 50% chance to remove 20% turn meter whenever they damage an enemy. So there's a 50% chance to remove turn meter. I mean, they're going to constantly be going, and they're going to constantly prevent you from going. And this was a problem I faced in Territory Wars. I mean, I lost a couple of squads to a Night Sister team because I thought that I was going to be able to go in there and wipe them out, and they just kept reducing the turn meter of my team. I never got a chance to go. And because they were well modded, I was unprepared for that battle. So I mean, again, you want to definitely make sure if you're putting together a Night Sister squad that you consider the better of the two options between a Mother Talzin lead or an Asajj Ventress lead. And when you look at all the pieces that are included in the package with this deal, the Night Sister Swiftness seems to be the better option. So 30% offense on top of the 30 speed, and then additionally all that turn meter manipulation. I don't think you can go wrong.
Both ways, for both themselves and against the other team.
You can't go wrong with that. And that's Maurice's favorite character. I'm pretty sure he has an Asajj Ventress picture, in a frame next to his bed that he blows a kiss to every night. So
I'll tell you what, but I'll frame it right next to my first perfect dark side. They're good, man. Like they're really good. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Long term, this is very in-game stuff, but long term, this is a very good option. Night Sisters are something to maybe plan for that you should maybe do right away.
Yeah, I am basically. I feel like I got to go for Night Sisters right away. I mean, because just for not only for dark side territory battles, but for territory wars, that whole Night Sister faction. I can't believe how much of a turnaround they've made. But yeah, they're almost a must-have at this point. So
you can Zeta, or excuse me, you can solo the Rancor with this lead too. So this is something that you can eat. It doesn't matter where you are in the game. Use that of an early game for like a Rancor solo. They do great damage in the tank. So this one applies all across the PvE content.
It's basically like a Zeter lead on steroids. So it's a great leader ability. All right, moving along, we're going to go on to rank 2. Again, we're looking at the top 5 Zetas for dark side territory battles. And what's rank 2, Maurice?
Rank 2 is going to be General Veers. Now this is going to be one that's an extreme, like an instance of territory battles only. It's not as unique, and it applies to all the Imperial troopers. He's required. You have to use him. He's not a platoon, so he's got even extra value there, as you'll be forced to use him eventually when you have to platoon all your Empire. His Zeta's on his unique. It's the aggressive tactician. Whenever an enemy is defeated while Veers is active, Imperial troopers gain offense up for 2 turns. All right, you gain 50% turn meter and recover 10% protection. When Veers is active, Imperial trooper allies have a 15% crit chance. And that protection will really add up because you're facing 6 enemies in 4 rounds. So that's 24 ticks at 10% protection you'll get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it adds up. And the Imperial troopers are rather slow, so any turn meter manipulation you can give them is always a plus.
Yeah, and this is mainly because Veers is a required character, right? So
yes.
That's the thing, and that's why this leader would be ahead of. This unique would be ahead of, let's say, an Asajj Ventress, because the Night Sisters aren't a required team inside dark side territory battles, so they're not a required faction. The most important factions there are going to be bounty hunters from some of those special missions, and then also General Veers and some of the other Empire characters, because they're required. So that's why Veers is so high on this list, because again, I look at the unique here and I think it looks great. Running let's say an Imperial trooper squad behind a Veers is pretty awesome, very interesting. I don't know about the arena viability, but it's ahead of let's say some of the other candidates on this list, because we're talking about dark side territory battles, and Veers is a must-have. They basically said that you have to have a Gear 12 Veers, and you need to have a squad that works around him as well in order to clear some of the content. So that means the best team to work with him is going to be Imperial troopers. So you got to get up your TIE fighter pilot, your shore trooper, your stormtrooper, your snow trooper, and any other troopers that they bring into the game, and also obviously Imperial probe droid, Colonel Stark. Characters like that are going to be very important as well. But this guy is essential, and he's going to be a necessity in almost every phase of territory battles. So you got to get this guy zated and got to get him leveled up. It's pretty much going to be a necessity, kind of like a a CLS is, or a Hoth Rebel Soldier or Hoth Rebel Scout is for light side territory battles. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely a great character all around. Maybe as the Empire continues to increase its viability, he'll eventually have some viability in Arena as well. All right, but number one, that moves us to the top Zeta for dark side territory battles. And what do you think that is, Maurice?
Well, I know what it is. It's the leader on Thrawn. And we're getting pretty familiar with this guy here. He's making, he seems to make his way onto every Zeta list we do. And what the Zeta does is it's going to add an element where the Empire allies gain. Every time they gain or lose a status effect, they recover 2% protection, which doesn't sound like that much. And of course, that's stacked on his regular leader ability. The Empire's got 15% max protection, offense, 25%, and they get 20% turn meter whenever they resist a status effect or suffer a debuff. So anytime they shed or gain a debuff, they're going to get 20% turn meter. But the 2% doesn't sound like much. But some of these Empire missions that require just simply Empire, you could kind of tag team them with like your Shore Troopers, your Stormtroopers that give defense up, Royal Guard, just all these characters give a buff or two. And just spreading it all around, that 2% really adds up really, really quickly. And that can be an AOE protection regen, and like where Royal Guard spams a defense up, everyone gets defense up plus 2% protection back. It just goes on and on and on. You'd be surprised at how high your protection bar can stay with a good team behind Thrawn.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he's got a great synergy with the rest of the Empire characters. I mean, he's a character that isn't necessarily a character you want to use with, let's say, a mixed team. You don't want to use Grand Admiral Thrawn, with Commander Luke Skywalker. There's no reason to have a Grand Admiral Thrawn lead with any other characters besides Empire characters, because they're the only ones that get benefits from it. But the thing is that the protection regeneration is such a huge bonus, especially with characters like Shore Trooper and Stormtrooper, for example, because they just continue to regain protection, even though it seems like such an incremental amount over the course of the duration of the match. They're almost never going to lose protection, or they're going to lose very little, and they're going to continue to gain it back. So you're going to be spending the majority of the match, let's say, if you have a Stormtrooper and a Shore Trooper together on a team, just trying to dispel their taunts. And as you do, they're not going to lose any damage. They're not going to lose any protection. They're going to continue to regen that protection, and they're going to gain taunt again. So they're going to protect their team very well. And, if you have the team modded well, it's going to make it, a nightmare for you with the rest of the squad. I mean, you can definitely use a Grand Admiral Thrawn in Arena right now, and he's probably the best leader for dark side territory battles, because you're going to need Empire characters. There's going to be Empire only battles in there. You're going to have to clear 4 waves, and that protection regen also helps as you get into the later waves of the territory battles, because you may lose some, you may take some damage in, let's say, wave 3, but regen some of that protection so that you're a little bit more prepared for wave 4. So it's a great option. It's a great leader ability, and again, almost a necessity for dark side territory battles and territory wars, because territory wars definitely needs or definitely can use a Zeta Thrawn lead. I mean, again, we faced Team Instinct in the first territory wars, and they had entire sections of just Zeta Thrawn lead. Again, it's one of the better leaders in the game, and it makes an entire faction better, because with a Zeta Thrawn lead, now all the Imperial troopers are good. Like I said, you can use Death Trooper, Krennic, you can use Shore Trooper, you can use Snow Trooper, you can use Stormtrooper. All these characters, TIE Fighter Pilot, are better behind a Grand Admiral Thrawn lead. So, yeah, I mean that's the top 5 Zetas for dark side territory battles. We do have an honorable mention, and that honorable mention is going to be Kylo Ren. Now, what are your thoughts on Kylo Ren, Maurice? Why is he in this list?
Well, it's just it's what he does. It's why he was a top, considered maybe the best Zeta for a few months before Nihilus was released. Just massive damage, and he recovers protection equal to the damage that he does. So I mean, you stack him with offense, you stack him with crit damage, however you decide to do it. He's going to give you tons of protection back to himself, and it makes him like a one-man wrecking crew. He can, especially in territory battles, your first order could be semi-undergeared for like the first few phases, and just Kylo can just carry you all the way to the victory. So it's good. And
yeah, I mean, if you're at the end of a battle, or if you're trying to get through the last couple of, let's say, the last wave of territory battles, I mean, you could be in a situation where you have 2 or 3 opponents left. Hopefully they're not elites, but you could have 2 or 3 opponents left, and a Zeta Kylo can help you, pull it out, even if the rest of your team is depleted. Because of that protection regeneration, as long as he doesn't get stunned, he doesn't really take any damage from health affecting negative status effects. So he doesn't take much damage from exposes, or from health down, or from death mark, things like that. He doesn't feel those as much. I mean, he still does, but not as much as, let's say, you're a regular character. He does have decreased damage on health effects. So it's a great Zeta to have, also because of the protection regeneration and the amount of damage it does. The increasing the damage. 70% more damage, and also stunning the character is a great ability, because especially in dark side territory battles, there's going to be times where you're facing a team that has, let's say, an elite, and you're going to want to take out some of the other characters first. So having this ability gives you the ability to stun that character and then work on the rest of the team. And just keep poking at that character to keep him from doing massive damage to your team, while you take out the rest of his allies, and then focus on him afterwards. So again, it gives you the ability to kind of be strategic and place stuns on your opponents in dark side territory battles where you need to, and also it does a ton of damage and can help you finish out or round out the end of your battle if the rest of your team is depleted. So that's the top 5 Zetas for dark side territory battles. Again, that's courtesy of the Alliance and good old Maurice, and that's it for the week. But we're going to move on back to the game here, and I'm going to do some more Galactic War. But I want to talk a little bit more about the dark side territory battles and the difficulty that we had. How did you guys fare? I mean, did you guys lose a lot of waves in phase 1, more than you thought? What did you think about the difficulty?
Well, wave 1, I think the first couple of days used to basically it was a wake up call. Hey, we've been breezing through these light side territory. We're just now starting to get to the point where really everyone's getting the teams and it's going smooth. And bam, day 2, Wampa's just crushing the bounty hunters. Just out of it's just like, so we're getting these guys now. So it was a learning curve, but we really picked up some steam. Come like P3, P4, 6. I mean, guys remember they're getting the 4s and 4s, 4s. We've got a lot of dark side players in our guild, so I'm happy for them to actually get to use these characters in things.
How many?
Battles.
How many?
More for just then soloing the Rancor.
How many pro droid shards did you guys get?
I believe we had 1, maybe 2.
Okay, yeah, we had 9. So, I mean, I know that there's probably some guilds out there that got more than that, but
I was not one of those 1 or 2.
Well, the next time it comes around, I'll be able to do it. I have Colonel Stark now. I didn't have him when it happened. I ended up buying the pack and then farming them, and I got most of the shards I need. I think by the time because we're going to see it light side territory battles before we see another dark side territory battles. Obviously, we have another territory war that we're going to be doing tomorrow. I don't see dark side territory battles coming back until at least next week. But again, we're going to have probably that Ray event at that same time. So I don't know. They may hold off on it even longer, especially if they have to make some tweaks to it after all the issues that and bugs that came up the first time. So either way, whenever it does come back around, I should be prepared with Colonel Stark to get some Imperial probe droids. And what's great about him too, or Imperial probe droid as a character, is it's going to be a great option even at a lower star level, right? Because that ability to kill a character is still there, whether he's 3 stars or 7 stars, right? So I mean, you can use that character at 3 stars, gear 10, gear 11, and still get that same desired effect, especially as Anald pointed out with that Palpatine lead. What are your thoughts about that?
You talking about his Palpatine lead?
Yeah, I'm talking about probe droid. Let's say probe droid at a lower star level. I mean, you can use a probe droid. I think.
Yes, I think he's usable for sure at a lower star level.
Yeah, I mean,
you could pull like some corny tricks with like a sped up Palpatine and get him down, so it's like an instant kamikaze bomber. Or you could use him more like Arnold's doing, utilizing that target lock and all the turn meter. And if you can, some of the he almost made the top 10 list tonight. Is unique if you put a Zeta on the probe droid, it basically his target locks act as buff immunity too. So like the enemy can't get buffs, like they can't taunt, they can't get the heal over times from like Bay or Jarut. So it's a pretty cool Zeta. Something to consider maybe if you got an couple extra or an extra one to kind of fool around with. Not a terrible Zeta. But I'm looking forward to him. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with him.
Yeah, me too. I think it's cool. I mean, now that I have Hermit Yoda 7-starred, I think I'm obviously going to start working on Wampa, and that'll be my next project. But I think he could be a viable character too. I mean, Dark Side Territory Battles has really opened my eyes to the fact that I need a lot of different things. Also, Territory Wars has shown me that I really need to work on a Night Sister squad and some different arena viable teams for defense that I wasn't necessarily prepared for because I didn't know that I didn't know really the mechanics of it or how it worked. But now that we've gotten a chance to try it out, I can kind of tell that I definitely have some improvements that I have to make so that I can be prepared for the next time we're facing a team like that. Now we're not always going to fight Team Instinct, so it's not that big of a deal. But again, you want to be as prepared as possible, and I think that getting some Zetas on my dark side or giving some love to the dark side is going to be a necessity for both Territory Wars and Territory Battles. So you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone there by doing some work with both squads or both sides. But yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting. I think Territory Wars is a completely different dynamic than Dark Side Territory Battles, but Dark Side Territory Battles is a very complex thing because, I feel like there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done to get to the point where we're going to be able to get 48 stars in Dark Side Territory Battles. It felt like, a league of difference. But again, I thought it was fun. I know that a lot of people were upset about the difficulty and they wanted to be able to just, kind of breeze through it. But I feel like we kind of got to the point on Light Side Territory Battles where now it's basically on form very quickly. We're at the point now where we can probably clear our Light Side Territory Battles without even thinking about it, and not have to worry about.
Well, that's just for you guys. Like there's still people that the majority of the community is still working on it. But like if they're upset about the Dark Side Territory Battle, they just need to get over it. Like it's very end game. This is the end game content.
Oh, I love it.
You're supposed to go in there. Yeah, you're supposed to go in there and just get destroyed.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think that it's great that it's hard. It's great that it's a little bit more difficult because again, you want to have an opportunity to have to work on something. To have to build towards something. And I feel like for the longest time I was always crying about how the hardest thing that I ever got to do was fight for Yoda that first time a couple years ago. And there was nothing that's been really difficult since then because they've kind of, they kind of dumbed down the difficulty on some things because they want everybody to get an opportunity to get the characters. So they don't want you to, get frustrated and let's say give up after, failing to get Yoda the first time. But things like this, where they increase the difficulty on a game mode like this, is great, because it gives every guild something out there to achieve. I mean, obviously, we're going to probably achieve it a little bit faster than some other guilds, but it definitely gives you something to work on, and that's ultimately what you want. I mean, you want to have a goal to achieve, and if you have everything done already and you're beating it real easily, you get to the point where you're autoing it, and you're not even thinking about it anymore, then that game mode is done. And I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon with dark side territory battles. So yeah, I'm excited about the difficulty. I know some other people feel differently about it, but personally I think that it's great that it's hard, and hopefully they don't make it too easy when they make adjustments to it, so that we can continue to have some difficult content to work on. Just my opinion. But
yeah, it's going to be, eventually it's fun now, but just like light side, it'll start to get difficult to keep a guild of 50 interested. That's what I worry about. That's my only concern with it, really. But missions are fun.
Well, that's going to happen with
almost identical.
That's going to happen with all content. I mean, no matter what content you're doing, it's going to get to a point where it's annoying to do.
Yes,
but what I'm saying is that you can get to a point where everybody's still having fun doing it if they make additions to it. Now, they may not always have light side or dark side territory battles. I mean, it may be something that we're doing for now, and then maybe let's say 6 months from now, 7 months from now, when some other guilds are clearing that content, they're going to have to make some changes, because we're not going to do. We're not going to do 2 raids, 2 different types of territory battles, and then also, guild versus guild, and then, whatever other new content that they may come up with next. So I think that they'll probably make some sort of adjustment for all the content that they're releasing, and they'll also probably have some new stuff that comes out in the future that kind of changes how you achieve some of these rewards. So, for example, maybe they'll have instead of dark side territory battles Hoth, they'll have light side and dark side territory battles Jakku, or light side and dark side territory battles Endor, or who knows.
Oh, so, for sure, man. These are eventually going to be in rotation, just like the legendary events are.
Right.
They'll just start cycling. I mean, we'll have so many of them that we'll see light side territory battle, the one we have now on Hoth. Then we'll see the dark side, and then we'll see Jakku or Dathomir, wherever they decide to go with it. Just kind of be in a rotation, which will be nice to keep it a little more fresh, but at the same time be kind of frustrating, because we've been spoiled, because we're getting Rolo just week after week. So she's getting up there real quick. So if you're in a guild that's got a 6-star Rolo pushing for 7, and they start like spacing these out on you even further, it'd be a little frustrating. But
yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I we're already at 7-star Rolo, so I mean, I understand that, for us it's a little bit different. But I mean, for some of the guilds that are still working their way up, it's going to be a different story. You're still on farm for Rolo. You're still on farm in some cases for Captain Han Solo. So I mean, it's a little bit different for everybody. But I wonder how Yoda looked with a full head of hair. Yeah, he must have looked interesting. I hope that at one point, I don't know, they're very careful with Yoda. I know they don't want to release too much about his backstory. I know they don't want we don't even really know where Yoda's from. We don't have like a planet or anything like that. But hopefully one day they do like a backstory to Yoda. They kind of tell his origin story one day, or make a movie about where Yoda came from. I could see them doing that, not anytime soon, but I think now that Disney has it, and they're probably going to do everything they can with the Star Wars franchise, I think we'll see a Yoda movie, or a Yoda story, or television series or something in the future. I'm sure they'll tell where he came from, and what he was like when he was younger, how he became a Jedi, and how he eventually rose to the ranks of Grandmaster and all that. So that'd be kind of interesting. But Yeah, let's move along to some questions. If you guys have any questions that you'd like to have asked on the stream, please put them into the live chat, and we'll try to get them in here before the end, and answer anything that you want. If you have any topics specifically that you'd like to discuss, throw them in the chat too, and we'll talk about those as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, listen, I'm hoping that I have the resources I need to get Ray. I hope they release the packs that I'm thinking they're going to release, so that I can get the characters that I need to get done. And I hope it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. I mean, I understand it's going to cost some money, but I'm hoping it's not going to be. I'm looking to spend maybe I can spend maybe $100 on Ray or $200 on Ray, but I'm not looking to spend $500 on Ray. I mean, so it just depends. But
they're throwing so much stuff at you right now. You really need to buckle down and make a decision. Like, do I want Ray? Then you need to focus on Ray. Like, what you can't do is still be working on your Phoenix and Rogue One for light side territory battles, and then on the side working on Bounty Hunters and General Veers, and then also trying to do the veterans at the same time. Like, you can't spread your resources around. You really have to focus and just go after one thing. They're setting this game up to be a very long-term game now. Like, if you buy into the we need everything, that's...
You're right.
Hundreds of dollars. So, thousands. If you're trying to get everything up immediately, it's just you got to focus. Just get your light side territory battles done. Get them on farm, and that way your guild is doing nothing. You don't have to stress about it. You just get your teams done, and all you're doing is just waiting on character GP. And then you move to the bounty hunters. It's a long. You got to crawl before you can walk, I guess. So.
It could definitely screw you up. It could definitely screw you up, especially because some of this stuff I already farmed or worked on, a long time ago when there weren't requirements for these things. There was a long time where we didn't have any content. So, for characters like, the bounty hunters, for example, there's lots of guys out there, or lots of players, I'm sure, especially newer players, and if you're not pay to play or buying chromium packs, that don't necessarily have all the bounty hunters yet, and those are required for dark side territory battles. Lots of people don't have a full Empire squad. I remember when I started playing this game. It took me a while to get five Jedi to get Yoda. And that took time. Now you take advantage, or you take for granted the fact that you have some of these characters that you've been farming over time, or you got all these characters at the Galactic War Store, and you're done farming there. But for some people, it's still it's still a long haul to try to get all these characters done. Some of these characters are hard node farms. First order stormtrooper, regular stormtroopers. Is stormtrooper in the Cantina store? Yeah, stormtrooper's in the Cantina store.
Yes,
sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, some of these characters are hard to get. General Veers.
Yes, Veers is difficult. But like, if you don't personally have, I'm trying to think of the nicest way to word. If you don't have 5 bounty hunters at 7 stars, you're honestly not ready for dark side territory battles as it is anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Like, if you don't have these characters, like, granted they're not going to be geared, but like, this is an in-game thing. If you've been playing the game for over a year or so, you're probably going to have Greedo at 7 stars just because you don't have anything else to pull. You're probably going to have, you're going to have Boba Fett 88 at 7 stars. It's a very in-game thing. So
yeah, I think
if you don't have the core characters, you do not need to be worrying about bounty hunters yet.
Well, I think what you're getting at here is, like, for example, if you're not ready for dark side territory battles, you obviously can't give up on it. You have to still continue to work at it, and you should. You should still farm gear for these characters and start working on them. But you have to focus your resources in one direction, right? So you can't just be working on everything. So you have to work on one character at a time, or work on a couple of characters at a time. But work on characters that don't really overlap each other. So, if let's say you're farming a certain type of gear, or you're farming a character, make sure they're not from the same location or anything like that. Unfortunately, for Jedi Ray, we have no choice because Han Solo and Chewie are both in the Cantina nodes. But for example, if you're farming, let's say, characters to finish light side territory battles, continue to do that. Finish the characters that you need for light side territory battles, so that you can eventually get to the point where you can clear that content without worrying about it, and then start working on dark side territory battles, because you've already been working on light side for a long time. To just stop that now wouldn't make sense. Obviously you need to prepare for both long term. But you want to, never, be, let's say, in the middle of working on something and just shift gears, unless it's a meta changing thing, an arena, necessity, because arena is where you get your crystals. But again,
you can't beat the tank before you beat the Rancor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's progression things.
You got to walk before you crawl, or you got to crawl before you walk. Right, so I mean, you got to walk before you crawl. You got to crawl before you walk. So you got to be prepared for it. And again, it's gonna take time to get all this stuff prepared. I feel a little bit overwhelmed, and I've got a lot of I've got a lot of resources. I've been playing this game for 2 years, and I've spent a decent amount of money on this game. So I mean, I have a lot of characters already, and I feel overwhelmed with the amount of work that I have to do. So I can't even imagine what it's like for some people that are still working on some of this stuff that I already have. So. The most important thing is to not get overwhelmed and start making bad decisions. Just continue to work on what you're working on, and start building towards the other things, and create some sort of a plan for you and your guild, so that you guys are all on pace or on the same page. So that you can start farming for the same things around the same time. So you'll know, now the majority of the guild is starting to work towards preparing for territory wars, for example, or the majority of the guild is starting to work towards dark side territory battles. But you don't want to all be going in different directions, because then what will happen is some of you will be prepared for light side territory battles, some of you will be prepared for dark side territory battles, some of you will be prepared for territory wars, and nobody will be prepared for anything, because ultimately you all have to be prepared for one game mode to clear the content. If that makes any sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you'll start to see a shift in some of the guilds. There will be guilds that are more focused on territory wars, and there's going to be some more guilds that are focused on territory battles. I think it will really help. Help's a bad word, but the guilds could slowly just kind of separate, kind of like a PvE oriented guild and like a PvP oriented guild. So it'll be interesting to see where it takes us in the future.
Well, I think you have to look at where you get the most rewards. Okay, so for example, I mean, if you're focusing on territory wars, I mean, the rewards you're getting out of there are minimal in comparison to what you're getting from light side territory battles or dark side territory battles. But you're getting more territory wars than you're going to be getting territory battles. So you have to think about that too. So, for every territory battles you get going forward, let's say, for example, we get 2 light side and 2 dark side a month going forward, which probably won't be the case. Let's say you get 1 light side and 1 dark side, you're going to get 4 territory wars in that same time span within that month. So the territory wars you're going to want to be prepared for, because that's going to be probably a very frequent thing. But that also correlates or works with both. So I mean, ultimately, if you're working on, for example, like the Night Sisters, like I will be, or like I am, that will get you to help out for dark side territory battles and for territory wars at the same time. So you're going to want to start looking at things that you can do to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So you're working on light side. So you're working on light side and territory wars, and you're working on dark side and territory wars at the same time, if that makes sense. Do we have any questions?
We just had a couple here. One is from Grim, I saw.
Okay.
It says, I have a question. If they decide to add more first order characters to the game, which ones would you like to see? Would you like to see them add to the game? More first order characters.
First order. Well, I'd like to see them add General Hux. Obviously, Supreme Leader Snoke at some point. Oh man, 2 Zetas. It's my lucky day. I haven't gotten double Zeta drop in a pack like this in a while. This is an Omega Met and a double Zeta. This is great. This only happened because you guys are watching the stream today. This is my luck. Yes, Snoke, absolutely. Snoke needs to come to the game. He needs to have Force powers, and we need to find out that he's a Sith. Yes, a Sith. I think, you want to know what I think? I think Rey's a Sith. Okay, that's what I think. I think that's why there's all this secret about it. I think that's why we don't know her last name or anything about her. I think that's why we don't know what her faction is going to be. And man, would I love to run, Sith Rey with Darth Maul lead. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. But maybe in the next movie, maybe in Episode 9, we'll get a Dark Side Rey or a Dark Side Luke Skywalker or something cool like that. That'd be awesome. I think First Order, though, yeah, we'll see Snoke, we'll see Hux. We're going to see Praetorian Guards. The Praetorian Guards are definitely going to be characters that we're going to come into the game. Those Red Guards that look like stormtroopers, but they have like that. They're like Red Guards, like the Imperial Red Guards, like the Royal Guards, but they have plastic or armor, kind of like the stormtroopers do. So, and they use weapons that look like they could either be some form of like lightsaber. Staffs, or they're weapons that can fight against lightsabers. So should be interesting. And then I think we'll get some other types of troopers. Like, for example, like Special Forces TIE Fighter pilot. Maybe we'll get Special Forces. Special Forces First Order Stormtrooper or something like that, or maybe we'll get Flame Trooper. That'd be cool. Flame Trooper from the original from the Force Awakens. That'd be awesome. What do you think?
Well, I think they've given us. Well, we've got 4 First Order ships now. So if they gave us a 5th new one, they could make Snoke potentially a fleet commander yet. That would be something that could happen, yes?
It could. I would be more inclined to think that Hux will get, to be a fleet commander, but Snoke could definitely get his Star Destroyer, and it could be a Snoke Star Destroyer. So that's a possibility.
So I think we'll get something for the ships, even if it's just a couple new ships to use to kind of make a full First Order team. But then we'll also need some more resistance ship too, yeah. So because there's only 3 of those in the game,
right?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
All right, what's the next question?
Oh, from our buddy Arterius Direct Knight. Anyone watching The Last Jedi on premiere day?
Of course.
Are you going to see it as soon as it's released?
Of course. What kind of Star Wars geek would I be if I didn't go watch the Last Jedi the first day? I will definitely be watching it a couple of times, so I'm going to watch it the first day, and then I'm probably going to take my son another time and go watch it with him, unless he's available to watch with me the first day. It depends on. I have to look at the day of the week that it is. I forget whether it's going to be a Friday most likely. So it depends. I mean, I'd like to say yes. I'll probably go watch it by myself, probably the first time, and then I'll take my son maybe that weekend to go watch it as well. So yeah, I'll probably see it. I'll probably see it a couple of times that weekend, and I'm sure we'll discuss it on the live show that week as well. And we'll have Jedi Rey to talk about also, especially since I'll be in the hunt for that. Hopefully, again, I have the resources available to do it, so I can actually unlock her here live for you guys on the stream, and we can get to see some Jedi Rey gameplay and see how much butt she really whoops in Arena.
Oh, she's going to whoop. You can go ahead and bet your money on that.
I'm sure she will.
All right. Let's see here. Got a couple questions. All right, this one comes from Pretty. What do you guys think is the best defense strategy for TW? Have the strongest teams in the front, in the rear, spread them out? Thanks. So what do you think is a winning strategy for defense on Territory Wars?
It depends on the guild you're facing. I mean, I think the winning strategy is based upon, like who you're fighting. If for example, you're fighting a guild like us, okay? So let's say you're fighting the Alliance Alpha, or let's say you're fighting a guild that that you can. I can't compare a guild like us. What I'm saying is, let's say you're fighting a guild that you think you have a stronger galactic power than you think you can defeat. Okay, so you think that you'll be able to defeat their teams, then maybe you want to go with a stronger defense approach. So you want to sit there and stack up each section with different squads. So let's say you pick, Night Sister squad to be in one section, or let's say Empire to be in another section, and then let's say Sith to be in another section, and it just depends on what how you break it up so that everybody gets different sections to cover. But if you're facing a guild that's, for example, stronger than yours, and you think you're going to have a tough time against them, I think the better strategy is going to be to actually go for a tie, right? Because you know that they're going to most likely defeat your team, or the opponent, the teams or the characters that you have. So the important thing there would be to make sure that you defeat them as well, so you're able to get those rewards also. Let's say, for example, you're facing against Team Instinct. Let them beat your teams. Put the worst characters that you have in there so that they can beat you, and put all your blue characters in there. The characters that obviously if you're fighting them, you're not going to have any blue characters. But what I'm saying is, let's say you have a really strong guild you're fighting. Put the worst characters that you have in there on defense, and then just save your offensive team so you can beat them on offense if they decide to go defense. So you're always prepared, and you control your own destiny. This way, you'll have enough characters to beat all their squads, and the worst that can happen, at least with the current scheme, we'll have to see what happens when they make any adjustments, because they have said since the first territory wars that they're observing what's going on, and they might create some sort of a solution for the ties to make a tiebreaker. But if they don't do that, at least the worst that you can do if you save all your offensive characters and beat them is tie. So that would be the best route to go, I think. But yeah, I mean, you can separate, kind of line up or give responsibilities to different rosters for each one of your players in your guild. That would take a lot of organization. You're gonna have to look at their rosters and see which guys have good Night Sister squads, which guys have good Empire squads, and kind of break them up in lists and see who's going to be deployed in each section. That's what we're doing right now. But then just kind of see where your strengths are with each person. If let's say some guy has 4 good defensive squads, maybe he's not going to be relied upon to do a lot of offense. You can't expect a guy that's putting in 5 teams on defense to then turn around and win 7 or 8 matches on offense as well. So you have to have expectations too for each person. So let's say this person is going to be primarily doing defense on this territory wars. Then you're not going to expect to get much from him on the offensive side, and vice versa. But you have to make sure you're prepared for both. So you have to make sure you have enough characters to win on offense, and also enough characters to hold on defense. But again, it just depends on the guild you're facing. If you're facing a guild that is going to beat all your teams, then then it doesn't matter who you put on defense. What matters is that you win all your offensive battles. So just put whatever characters are going to go in there, let them win their offensive battles, because they're going to win anyway, and just make sure you're prepared to beat their team on defense or on offense. Does that make any sense?
Well, yes. I just what we've been doing is just a regular default type strategy. Is we're really putting our tip top teams kind of to protect the ships, just because. I mean, granted, it's only the second territory war. We're still learning, but I personally feel that guilds are going to be gunning for the ship territories, because they're pretty. Once you get to the ships, it's pretty easy to get through, 50 fleets. When you yourself can now, with all your leftover ships, you can field 2 extra, sometimes 3 if you've been playing a while or have a lot of ships. 3 extra teams to get through. Their 50. So basically, 100 to 150 fleets versus 50. You're going to get through the ships. So guarding that territory is important, and then we stack the back. I feel it's important to almost min-max your setup. Have 2, 3, 1. I mean, however, wherever your guild's at, just put all your best teams, consolidate them to 1 to 3 or 4 zones, and then the rest you kind of fill in with the B teams, and even in some case, if you're a lower GP guild, you can just throw like trash in, like you were saying, just the blue characters. the under gear get just the what is it 6,000 GP they have to be able to play the territory wars.
Yeah.
So just 5 of your worst characters if needed. Just you have to get your teams in. Like you definitely want to fill every single slot, because if you don't, that could cost you a draw.
Right.
It's difficult. It's difficult for you and I or anybody that's probably in a guild over like 100 millish, galactic power.
100 because there is going to be 100 millish. I want to be 100.
Yeah,
millish.
Like there.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying. Yeah, just anybody over. I'm just pulling a number out, but like 100 million, let's say, is the magic number. You reach a point where you have too many characters in offense for really any defense to really hold, except those guilds that focus purely on defense. So there's gonna be a lot of draws once you reach a certain point, or at least thus far, it seems. But if you want to play to win, you really do need to do defense, as some people have learned.
Right.
Defense might be the key to victory in these. So keep that in mind.
Yep. All right, next question.
Let's see. I'm off the page here. All right, next question. That's about it, I think. Here, let me scroll down a little further. Yeah, that's all the questions we have in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, again, it was a lovely show. I appreciate everybody coming down to check us out this week. Sorry we missed last week, but we will be back next week with Alliance live show number 33, and we'll have. We were supposed to have Duza on today as a guest with us, and I did actually forget to ask him to come on right before the show started. So I'm sure he's out there stamping his feet, and that guy Ramon. He just he didn't come through for me tonight. So if that's the case, I apologize, Duza, and we will get you on next week. And then also, I'd like to get that guy back on that was here for the. He got a roster review a couple weeks ago,
right?
And I want to see if he did any of that stuff we talked about to improve his roster. We'll see if we can get him on here, and if he didn't listen to us, we'll make fun of him and say many negative things about how his roster is bad.
Hopefully he's not riding his motorcycle while on the call with us this time.
Well, yeah, hopefully he's not driving 100 miles an hour while he's trying to talk to us. Yeah. Hey guys. Yeah, but it'll be a lot of fun. But if you guys want to join us, we'll be in Discord after this. Just go over to the ALLIANCEGaming.com and follow the instructions to join us there. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, comments, concerns about the show, you can leave me a comment in the comment section once the video posts. Or, again, come over to the ALLIANCEGaming.com and follow the instructions in the Discord to send me a private message there. I'm always available for anybody that needs any help or just wants to, come join a guild. If you're interested in joining a guild, we have many, many guilds, over 50 guilds for all different playing styles. So, we're looking, to always add, great people and great players that want to join, a great group and a dedicated community. And, as we go through the next territory wars, I'm hoping to, defeat the Mighty Chlorians here tomorrow and, rub it in Mobile Gamer's face. And then, we'll go from there. But, as always, guys, may the Force be with you, and we will see you on the next one. Peace out, guys.